We're going to do the gambler. Only Kenny.
Beginning of a new week. Hello and welcome to the morning news on New Day on TV3. My name is Beatrice Sedu. Coming up in the next few minutes. Pan-Africanist legal practitioner and governance expert Professor Patrice Lumumba blames illegal small-scale mining on governance failure. Also coming up, Chief of the Defense Staff, Lieutenant General William Ejapon warns against spread of misinformation within the Ghana Armed Forces, particularly regarding payment of foreign missions. And much later on the program, legal experts propose introduction of a legislative instrument to regulate the use of bail bonds and prevent potential abuses. Thank you very much for joining us on the program. Now, the Authority of Heads of State of ECOWAS has unanimously endorsed President John Mahama as the African Union chair when the rotating chairmanship reaches West Africa in 2027. The decision follows the ECOWAS Council of Ministers' unanimous recommendation of President Mahama as the sole candidate from the region. Announcing the decision at the press conference shortly after the 68th Ordinary Summit, the president of the ECOWAS Commission, Omar Alieu Toure, said President Mahama is Africa's best choice for the AU chairmanship.
The authority also has also decided to support Ghana's candidature for the chairmanship of the African Union for the year 2027.
We just indicated that the heads of state have unanimously endorsed the candidature of the president of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama. What went into the consideration with this overwhelming and unanimous endorsement?
President Mahama deserved this community support. That's one thing. We all know the competence of President Mahama, and the leaders have full confidence in him to represent West Africa at that role, in that role. And that's so much I can say.
Still on the continent, Pan-Africanist legal practitioner and governance expert Professor Patrice Lumumba has blamed the illegal small-scale mining on governance failure. Speaking during a virtual environmental conference organized by the Institute of Governance, Ethics and Religion, Professor Lumumba said that the time to act against illegal mining is now, given its devastating impact.
The conference was held under the theme, Navigating the Challenges of Illegal Mining in Ghana, Impact on Individuals, Communities, Health and Policy. Professor Patrick Lumumba attributed illegal mining to governance failure.
We pay salutary gesture to the laws. So we must have a mental revolution. We must have men and women in positions of authority who are prepared to do the right thing. The population must also be a population that calls leaders to account. There are no easy solutions. In Ghana, you are now beginning to see the impact of galamsey. In different countries, we are now beginning to see, as somebody said, that these are life and death issues. Perhaps It is only then that our eyes will open.
Meanwhile, a former World Health Organization representative in Tanzania and Namibia, Dr. Charles Segu Moses, says Ghana is facing a public health disaster driven by illegal mining and is entirely preventable. Dr. Segu Moses emphasized the generational impact, particularly on pregnant women and children. Dr. Segu Moses called for urgent action, highlighting that the public health crisis caused by illegal mining is entirely preventable if proper policies, monitoring and enforcement measures are implemented.
We need to reform national policy on environmental health. The policy must ban mercury use with real enforcement, require real-time environmental monitoring for both legal and illegal activities, mandate health impact assessment before issuing mining licenses.
Thousands of acres of farmlands have been destroyed over the years by illegal mining, with rivers and water bodies severely polluted.
In other news, legal experts are urging the government to consider introducing a legislative instrument to regulate the use of bail bonds and prevent potential abuses. Concerns have been raised about the increasingly high bail conditions imposed on both ordinary citizens and high-profile individuals, conditions many describe as excessive and unfair.
Calls for urgent reform are growing, with critics arguing that high bail bonds are sometimes used to intimidate individuals and in effect keep them in custody, despite constitutional rights to bail. Legal practitioner Martin Pebble has backed the proposal, stressing that a legislative instrument would help curb misuse.
I suffered one on the, I think Wednesday was 3rd of December 2025, where OSP, they asked me to provide a landed property. You should not be saying I should bring landed property in my name. That request was made so that I would not be able to fulfill it at that time of the day, so that minimum I was sleeping there. That's I will spend the night in custody. When you have difficult or harsh bail terms, it affects the poor more, because if the poor don't have the capacity to meet the bail conditions, they stay in custody for a longer period. These Supreme Court decisions have been aimed at trying to reform the law on bail, but it takes time. The cases take time. I agree with you that if we did this law that we send to Parliament, it can be faster because we can do many things rather than going to court one by one.
Lawyer Christian Mamhese adds that the reform would be meaningful only if prosecutors refrain from using bail bonds as a tool for vengeance.
In order for us to have a prescribed law that deals with bail, so that we would not have the situation where bail is used by members of prosecutorial institutions or persons in that particular institution to whether to venge a pound of flesh. Going through all of this is always money, and a poor person who does not have that, what happens to that person? That becomes another problem. But litigation has become expensive, and in order to ensure justice for all, some of these things needs to be addressed by parliamentarians. Persons in that particular judicial or quasi-judicial position would be guided by that particular legislation, so that there will not be uncertainty in that area.
Meanwhile, ordinary citizens are not spared, as many struggle to meet the full requirements of bail condition, turning the process into a heavy burden.
The Western Regional Police Command says it is investigating a fatal shooting that occurred on Saturday, December 13, 2025, at a mining company in Adelekezo near Dajin in the Azim district. The accident left a young boy dead and caused extensive damage to company property. Police, in a statement signed by the Regional Head of Public Affairs, Superintendent Olivia Adiku, said the event began after a dispute between local youth and the company's private security personnel. Reports indicate that some youths attempted to seize a security officer's pump-action gun, which he resisted. During the struggle, the officer fired, hitting the boy, who was later rushed to the Axim Government Hospital but was pronounced dead on arrival. The boy's death reportedly enraged local youth who went on a rampage at the site. Meanwhile, the Western Regional Police Command is urging members of the community to remain calm and cooperate with investigations to ensure justice is served. Stolen Security, the Chief of the Defense Staff, CDS, Lieutenant General William Ejapon, has warned against the spread of misinformation within the Ghana Armed Forces, particularly regarding payment for foreign missions. Speaking at the end of year interdenominational religious service at Burma Camp, the CDS said such false information is deliberately aimed at creating disaffection among soldiers and officers.
Of the Defense Staff, Lieutenant General William Ejapon cautioned officers and soldiers to always verify information before sharing it. He noted that unverified claims could undermine unity and discipline within the military.
When some mischievous personnel, for whatever reason, throws out untruth in the media space and it concerns us as military personnel, the least we can do is to just fact check. And I'm saying this in regards to some viral video that have been running around the media space alleging that the government of Ghana receives so much money for peacekeeping and it gives so little. These are very verifiable facts. I want to state that it is palpable and truth.
Touching on welfare issues, the CDS assured personnel that the leadership of the Ghana Armed Forces is addressing accommodation challenges facing servicemen and women.
Next year, we'll see massive improvement in our accommodation situation. Government has sanctioned arrangements that will see the rollout of over 2,000 housing units across all garrisons. And over the next 5 years, if things go as planned, we are expecting additional 8,000 housing units. His Excellency, the President, has also sanctioned a road tooling package that will see major platforms added to our stock.
The Chief of the Defense Staff, Lieutenant General William Ejapon, further disclosed that in 2026, the Ghana Armed Forces will leverage on its own enterprise to venture into various income-generating enterprises to support its operations and welfare initiatives.
We are taking measures to leverage on our own expertise and numbers, and we will do a lot more in this particular area.
Lieutenant General Ejapon also assured the general public of the military's readiness to safeguard Ghana's territorial integrity while cautioning against the spread of false information about the Ghana Armed Forces. The end-of-year interdenominational religious service is part of the annual services held by the Ghana Armed Forces. Joseph Armstrong, Good TV3, Accra.
Meanwhile, Acting Director General of Public Relations for the Ghana Armed Forces, Captain Veronica Ahin, has given a breakdown of how soldiers and officers are paid per day. She called on media houses and journalists to reach out to her if in doubt about any issues concerning the Ghana Armed Forces.
The Military High Command, and indeed the entire Armed Forces, has taken notice of a video making wild allegations against the Ghana Armed Forces on the allowance paid by the United Nations for each peacekeeper. It is never true that the UN pays $300 USD per soldier per month. These are the facts. The UN pays an average of 46 USD per day, and the government pays 35 out of the 46 per day for every soldier. The difference of $11 is used to support troops as follows. 700 is given to every soldier that goes on peacekeeping when they are coming on leave. This you can attest from your friends in the military. Before we embark on any peacekeeping missions, we undertake 6 weeks pre-operational training in Bondase. and all that requires logistics.
Now, away from security, the Lodina Foundation has presented materials to 5 needy but brilliant female students in the Nkwanza South District. The initiative, known as Educating Linda, is to empower young girls to pursue quality education.
The awards highlighted the foundation's commitment to education as a primary driver of community development.
The Lodina Foundation has always believed that education is the most powerful tool, transforming lives and building stronger communities. Through initiatives like these awards, the foundation continues its commitment to supporting students across the country, giving them the encouragement and resources they need to rise to their full potential.
The beneficiaries were urged to maximize the support to achieve their highest potential. The awardees expressed appreciation to the founder of the Lodina Foundation, First Lady Lodina Mahama.
I would like to thank Her Excellency Lodina Mahama for supporting us today, and we ask for more.
I'm very excited to thank Mama Lodina for what she has done for me. I'm grateful. God bless her so much. Oliver Trace, grow us for more.
Most of the students tend to be inactive in class when they lack certain learning materials. So with this award, I'm sure it will improve learning activities because it will encourage them to be confident and very active in class.
The Lodina Foundation is a non-governmental organization dedicated to the welfare of underprivileged, particularly orphans and vulnerable children, as well as women.
Some more here, and the Minister for Foreign Affairs and Expatriates of the State of Palestine, Vassim Shahin, says more than 10,000 Palestinians are currently being held in detention in Israel. At a press briefing, the Palestinian Foreign Affairs Minister said that civilians, including women and children, continue to lose their lives amid ongoing military operations.
According to her, Palestinians are only demanding an end to what she termed atrocities committed against them.
We continue to have over 10,000 detainees in Israeli detention camps, and most of these detainees, if not 99%, are political detainees, political Palestinian prisoners. In Gaza, today there is a ceasefire, but it's not a complete ceasefire because attacks are still ongoing, albeit not to the extent that was before, but we would like to ensure that this ceasefire becomes a sustainable one.
The minister commended the Ghana government and the people of Ghana for their diplomatic efforts and consistent calls for a ceasefire in the ongoing conflict.
The situation, however, remains volatile. The humanitarian assistance is not entering in the amount it should be, and we need to keep our voices loud on the entry of humanitarian assistance. On the West Bank, the situation is also very volatile. The unleashed illegal settlers, Israeli settlers in occupied territory, do terrorize Palestinian lives day in and day out. And today we see trees uprooted, homes demolished, people attacked, orchards set on fire, and so forth. And various forms of violations of human rights continue. In East Jerusalem, there is encroachment and engulfment of the city, ensuring that there is no access to West Bankers and, of course, the Gazans to East Jerusalem. And today, the incitement on Jerusalemites and the encroachment on the right to worship is mounting.
She later honored Ghanaian journalist and activist Kwesi Pratt Jr. for his continued advocacy and support for the Palestinian cause. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict has lasted for decades, rooted in competing claims to land following the end of British rule in Palestine in 1948.
And that's all for the morning news here on New Day on TV3. My name is Beatrice Edu. Thank you very much for joining us. Do stay with us on New Day.
Hello? Hello, Auntie Abena. You won't believe what just happened. Grandma received her 4th TV. 4! 4 TVs? Yes, 4. Okay, I'm coming. Don't me there, Wahi.
I'm not.
It's like a scandal now. You are using it to spread grammar like that.
Spread grammar.
4 TVs, 2 fridges, microwave, Abba.
even now noticing it. Sandra, what's in them? Or they are just normal props?
I saw the tree, but I didn't see those as well.
Okay, so you've seen the Christmas tree and the boxes in there. So these are props. I mean, that's it is. But in your homes, you have to put gifts in there. That's what the white people taught us. Yeah, so on Christmas Day, then you open it, you give the gifts out to your family members. Nice. We don't tend to do that, except the upper rich people, you know.
But you're amongst them. You're amongst them.
Oh, for where? So they tend to do that. But wherever you find yourself, please welcome to the show and thank you for joining us. It is another great week. We're grateful to God for giving us life. Very important for all of us to also say that we remain relevant, have been remaining relevant throughout the year because you have been loyal, always watching us and give us some great accolades and views. Your feedback is always important. And as the year comes to a close, it also means that all of us will need to do a lot of stock taking. So we're grateful to all of you for joining us for another edition of TV3 Newday. And I say good morning to you, Chairman Godwin Tamaklo of the Rates Group Chief Executive, alongside your wife Alice and the family, Chairman Prosper as well of Smart Shipping Company Limited, and then Dr. Salifu Combat, Edmond Combat of the Tema Oil Refinery, everybody else who tend to watch her. Zilis Duane is a Liverpool fan, he lives in the UK. Prince Nani Ayok also lives in the UK as well. Uncle Charles Thompson and everybody, but you're looking exquisite.
Thank you very much.
I love your colors today. That's
nude.
Nude.
Yes.
Nude. I'm talking about nude. And a lot of things have been happening. All right. Our various security, agencies have been collaborating with the Federal Bureau of Investigations. And so it's been a year of topsy-turvy for many of the rich people, including celebrities, very young at heart, young in age as well, who have been flaunting their wealth on social media. And apparently the security agencies, whether it's a cyber security or even
NIB has been involved.
Yeah, NACOC, NIB, the Ghana Police Service, YOCO, FICs as a financial intelligence center have been cracking down or clamping down on a number of these individuals, etc. But on social, I'm always on TikTok. So when I see Abutrika,
but I hardly see your videos.
No, I haven't posted. Or when I see Dr. Sledge and all that, I become very happy because young people need to make a lot of money. So and I think I've DM'd one or two of them that they should show me how to make the money as well. But it hasn't been some good times over the last couple of months. Of course, the latest has been Emmanuel Obing, one of his names as well. That's Butrika, who has been nabbed, we're told, will be taken to the U.S., Ohio, and then will be facing some charges in Cleveland. And subsequently, we have to ask you, what do you make of it? Do you think that our national security agencies need to be collaborating with the FBI and all that, whether it's MI6 or MI5, the UK version, so to speak, to be coming down to our country and then arresting individuals supposedly for cybercrime, etc. Even if we have let's say we have conventions or treaties with them, do we need to encourage that? You as citizen, what do you make of it as well? Or on the other hand, does it mean that government is working to make sure our society is rid of, so to speak, alleged criminals and all that?
Already the U.S. government thinks so, because the president was recognized or praised actually for allowing or ensuring that they were able to collaborate and get these individuals to face justice. So,
All right, so we'll be talking about that because they have a lot of cash. Those group of individuals and the young men, they have a lot of cash. Talking about cash, we have cash out, right?
Yeah, we have cash out, yes. And you remember that it's always *439#. You follow the prompt. You choose your favorite platform, which is right here on TV3. It is number 2. Yes, there you see it. So *439#. You follow the prompt. Choose a TV3, which is number 2, your favorite platform, and get to play as many as possible. Last week we gave some, how much was it? 30,000 to some individuals.
That'll be on Friday.
Yes, no, it was 10,000. So we gave it to 3 people. The first one got 2,000, second 3,000, and the overall winner got about 5,000. So, but today we're giving 10,000 to 10 individuals. So the more you play, the higher your chances of getting at least 1,000 cedis for your pocket I would say for the beginning of the week. You don't want to miss this opportunity to get some free cash, perhaps.
All right, so make sure you join us for our question of the day for this morning segment. We'll be asking you that. And then for big issues, we have Edu Jitamakulu coming to the studio. Dr. Tutubuahi, Bernard Tutubuahi will be here, as well as lawyer Apia Dankwa, and then Dr. Idubuahin. And it's all, many of those two subjects will be discussing. The first one, critically, will be the subject of the criticism that has been leveled against not only the finance minister or the finance ministry, but government in general, and then receive massive explanation, so to speak, but also the governor of the Bank of Ghana. And the narrative out there, you find that they said the Bank of Ghana has pumped, the word they use is pumped, all right, pumped $10 billion, and that's why we've seen a stability of the Ghana cedi, particularly against the US dollar, as well as the other major international trading currencies that Ghana uses very often with its trading partners. But what really is the conversation, all right, and then what is the opportunity cost if that is not done? But more so, what is the right terminology or the activity by way of that intermediation, which is the right economic terminology to be using, intermediation that is undertaken by the Bank of Ghana? Does it mean that we have $10 billion or we had, let's say, $5 billion in the vault at the Bank of Ghana or in our reserves, and so they decided to just come and pump it into the Ghana economy so that it can't stabilize the Ghana cedi against the US dollar or the US dollar against the Ghana cedi, vice versa? So it's a conversation we need to have. Then we'll discuss the national security as well as the FBI and the collaborations with Yoko, FIC, NACOG, etc. to nab individuals in our country. I mean, should it be the way that we need to go? We'll tell you what, A plus, that's the Honorable Obeng, who is also a member of parliament in the central region, have been saying, and then the criticism that also has been leveled against the other state agencies on this subject matter as well.
Yeah.
So make sure you stick and say join. We have some other conversations.
Yes, we do, because along the way, talking about scams, we'll also be looking at common Christmas scams that you need to look forward to, mobile and other ways that criminals try to outsmart you to get your valuables. So we'll be going into that conversation in the course of the day. And of course, sports as well. Yes, I saw some Liverpool and another team. I'm not sure whether it was live, but I'll just pass it through. So I look forward to the conversation around what's happening around us in terms of sports and even our local leagues, yes. So we'll bring you all of that plus some more. But you're welcome to the This Morning segment. So we're talking to you about the cybercrime issue in Ghana and the fact that the government of Ghana has been collaborating with that of the US, arresting individuals who have been caught. And yes, so share your thoughts with us. You heard Roland say, should the government of Ghana be collaborating with the US coming down here to arrest individuals who are alleged or accused of being involved in these crimes? And what do you make of it generally? Perhaps if you even have ideas on moving forward, how we can do things better so that our communities are safe. And so the lines are activated. The numbers are displayed on your screen right now. Call in and share your thoughts with us. But Rola, I want to believe even now there are some messages that are already coming through. Yeah, a couple of messages already I'm seeing. Sherry Giovanni is putting something. And let me say good morning to Mubarak Usman of the Tamale Technical University. Wishing you all the best for the morning. Great guy, great boy. And the Chief Mante of Akosobo as well. But we already have a caller. We do, yes. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. Tell us your name, where you're calling us from.
Good morning, Roland and Nan. I'm calling from Agogo. This is Pastor Boy.
Yes,
Pastor Boy?
Yes.
From Agogo?
Yes.
Yeah, Asantiachin.
Yes.
Sure. Please share your thoughts with us.
With regards to the cybercrime, in fact, we have to be looking at certain things. So you see a young guy or any person share money on social media, there is something wrong with it. Anyone who works with his sweat or whatever to acquire that money, I think will never show it on social media. So these are some of the symptoms we need to look at. When you see someone doing that, meaning there is something wrong with the money.
Oh.
Any genuine money, the person will not do that.
All right. Thank you very much.
So
that's what I have.
So the question we asked is, should we have our state agencies collaborating with, let's say, the FBI or the MI5 or whichever agencies there are to come into a country and be arresting individuals just because they are seen to be flaunting money or they are perceived to be rich, and because we can't indicate or pinpoint where they got their riches from?
I think we should handle them in Ghana here, because I don't think you can go to Europe or America to arrest their citizens like that. They won't accept that. We should deal with our people in our town or in our country. We shouldn't let anyone come in and take them out. That one there is, I would describe it as a disrespect to Ghanaians.
All right.
All right. Thank you very much for calling in and sharing your thoughts with us from our Goindi Shanti region. Thank you so much.
Right. And then there was also a bust of some individuals, believed mainly to be Nigerians, somewhere in Kaswa as well. They were seated. I think you find them. It was a whole, almost like a...
Was that the video we were showing?
Yeah, what we used to have, like internet cafes.
Oh, wow.
And all they're doing is, we're told, romance scams and things like that. So it's part of the bus.
32 Nigerians,
all right.
I understand. Yes.
All right, so we already have another caller.
Yes, we do. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. Tell us your name, where you're calling us from.
Okay, good morning, and my name is Wahidu. I'm calling you from Hohoi.
From Hohoi?
Yes, please.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Please, to me, the way I don't know how our leadership in Ghana always collaborate with the United States, much especially when it has come to some of the things. I don't know, because they feel America is powerful. For that matter, that could be a way they work with America so that they will be convinced enough that America wouldn't try probably if there should be a problem. Why would they allow Americans to come to Ghana and arrest Ghanaians and go free like that? We were thinking of Kenofurata for a very long time. Yet the leadership in Ghana could not do anything much. That when it has come to Ghana, and they show muscles that they are strong enough to deal with Ghanaians within their country, but yet none of them were able to show such muscles to bring back Kennedy. What do you call Kenofurata? Does it mean they are collaborating with Kenofurata to stay in America? Yes, they throw stand into the citizens that they are working hard. How long has it been? And this has been so bad to Ghana. In fact, I don't know why always you have to protect your sovereign nation, that you have the power. You have something against our citizens. Bring us the complaint, the fact. Let us deal with the president. Why would they come here and then pay Ghanaians, go do to them whatever they want? I totally disagree to that. That is my thought on this.
Well, thank you very much. But one thing perhaps we should make clear is that they don't just come and forcibly take the individuals. They collaborate with the agencies that are here, just like it's required within the international space to collaborate with each country to ensure that you're able to deal with crime. Well,
certainly. We have a number of messages coming through. We'll also wait for the call. Let me say good morning to Jane and Prophet Duku of Cape Coast, wishing the best for the day. Great lady. Another caller standing by number of messages, but we'll take the calls.
Let's go to another caller who joins us on the phone as well. Going to say thank you so much for calling us. Tell us your name, where you're calling us from, and what you think of what's on the table.
I'm calling from Pando.
Yes, sir.
These guys, for me, taking them to jail
will cost the nation taxpayers' money to look after. These boys should be taken somewhere and shot to death, because you put them in jail, you still use taxpayers' money to feed them, care for them medically and all of that. You just take them off this planet, because their existence continues to be threats.
Who is that,
to human lives. You see, so if you can do people to this tune, and then the cheek of it is you take camera, do video, and put in the media space for what? And so they taking them to trial and all of that, for me, it's waste of time and resources. And so they should take them off the planet, in my mind. Thank you.
Your mind.
What's your name again?
I think
this is Ken.
Ken.
Okay.
From Kwando, yes.
Kenzie, good morning to you. Anyway, so we have a couple of messages coming through. And, Zilis Dwayne from the UK says, there's one thing that baffles me. We're undertaking all these collaborations with the FBI, among many other international related agencies, but we cannot bring to our jurisdiction Ken Oforiatta to come and stand trial. I think that what the government needs to do is to make sure that, they give Abu Trika and the rest of those Ghanaians arrested to the U.S. government, and then they bring to Ghana Ken Oforiatta. That is going to be 1-1 draw. Zilis Dwayne is a Liverpool fan, so he's full of football this morning. Good morning to you.
Yeah, there's one from Mustafa. Loa Manya Krobo says the NDC Mahama-led government will not entertain cyber crimes and other related crimes. Whoever has been a victim of fraud will surely support this collaboration from our security agencies.
Well, so
thank you for sending me a message.
Very interesting there. So I have this one from Mubarak, who says that why is it that our state agencies cannot collaborate to extradite our politicians who steal public funds and run abroad, but are quick to collaborate with them on cyber fraud as well as other crimes? All stealing be stealing. This is not fair. Okay, and then we have this one from Gaiji. Gaiji says, good morning, you're looking very beautiful. You know Gaiji?
Gaiji. Yes.
Yeah, you know Gaiji?
He's been sending messages, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, he's with the Ken Camp.
Oh, okay.
You
mentioned it, yes.
Yeah.
Hi,
so he's wishing you all the best for the morning. Thank you so much. And so we have a number of messages. This one is coming from Aziz Donla, who says, our security agencies are collaborating very well with other security agencies outside our country in nabbing criminals. We equally encourage and expect U.S. security agencies to provide the Honorable Ken Oforiatta to face justice in Ghana. The OSP and the BNI, that should be NIB, that's a new name. Over to you, Aziz Donla. Wow. And Kwame Boateng says that it is just not fair. Ghanaians seem to be a greedy lot. Once they see somebody being rich, the conclusion is that that person got the money through ill-gotten means. Sometimes it is a good thing to have money taken from... Oh, you said white people? Okay. All right. Thank you very much. So we have a couple more messages as well. And okay, so okay. So this one also is coming from Kenzie. Okay, Kenzie, good morning to you. But this one is an anonymous message, so I'll read it through. It says that there's a red alert. There are exposed manholes endangering the residents of Hokwe on the Hotel Dimok to High Sense stretch. And the residents in that part of Hokwe in the Volta region are facing a serious safety risk on the road from Hotel Dimok to High Sense office. Unlike potholes, he says the roads are littered with exposed manholes that pose a direct danger to pedestrians, cyclists and drivers, especially at night or during each time it rains. Community members have raised concerns repeatedly, but the municipal chief executive of Hokwe has shown no sign of addressing the issue, and so he's pleading that they send a team to investigate. That's TV3. Yeah. All right, we'll try and send a team there to document and send and highlight the issue about how life-threatening the situation is in order to compel the relevant authorities to take action. This, he says, needs to be done quickly, because the Yuletide season is going to see a lot of residents plying that road, and it is a sad situation that the MC of Hokwe and all government appointees are sitting there at the assembly and doing nothing about the potholes and the bad state of road from Dimok, Hotel Dimok to Hisense Office Road. All right, in Hokwe in the
Bad
Volta
roads
region.
plus bandits. That must be quite disturbing. But we have another caller on the line. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Please tell us your name, where you're calling us from.
My name is Nuruddin Wima Tambale.
Yes,
Northern
sir.
Regional NGC Communication Team member.
Yes, sir.
I want to share my view on the bad guys. I think it is good for them to take them to their nation to maybe to investigate them. You know, to do investigation has to do with a lot of resources. And Africa or Ghana, we are lacking resources. We need resources to develop our country. We need resources to develop certain things. So if we are using our own money to investigate this, they didn't steal from our nation. They steal from different nations, and they have built their evidence, and they realize that those who are defrauding them are coming from Africa, especially Ghana, and they decided to come. We don't know the kind of resources they have invested to do this investigation or to build their evidence. And doing a comparison with regards to Ken Ofori-Atta, you know how much it will take for the resources it will take us for us to maybe to extradite Ken Ofori-Atta back to Ghana. So we don't just have to be making this comparison. What matters is we should try as much as we can, at least maybe to assist our younger brothers, maybe who are into those fraud, maybe let them know that what they are doing in the end, it has negative effect on them. Why do we have? I believe in religion. I'm a Muslim. Why is it that every time we have maybe fire maybe burning a lot of people properties? It's because of these things. So if we are not fighting, when the trouble comes, it affects even those who are doing the right things. I think that's just my thought on it.
Sure. Thank you very much for sharing these thoughts with us. Calling us from Tamale in the northern region.
Certainly. Bonti Benjamin, good morning to you. Bonti Benjamin says the level of romance scams clearly indicate that we've lost our moral fiber as a nation. Let's instill discipline in our society to stop these wrongdoings that give Ghana a bad image in the international community or the global world. He concludes, and well, we have more callers.
Yes, we do. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on this morning segment on Newday on TV3. Please, what's your name and which part of the country are you calling us from?
My name is Ray. I'm calling you from Upper West Region.
Wow.
Ansuma.
I hope Wa is well today.
I'm well.
Yes, well, it's very cool. Let me say good morning to the MP Regional Chairman in the Upper West Region, Chairman Abdulaziz's wife, and also Ansuma to the good people in Wa. And Roland and the issues of these guys is that every normal Ghanaian doesn't have to support them. The issue is that these people even affect the people in this Ghana again, not only the white people. You have been seeing every day people have been lodging complaint that they have withdrawn my money. This person has called me that if I win this promo, I should send 2,000, I should send 3,000. It is this guy. It is this guy. Roland, you will also observe something. Anywhere these guys are, especially the community is always through cost of living. You can't live there normally. I'm telling you. If you observe them, especially in Tamale, the cost of living in Tamale is not equal to the cost of living in Accra. Because it is full of these scam boys. So wherever there's a scam boys around, that place, you can't live there normally because the place is cost up to living. You understand? So I don't support them anytime, anywhere.
But people have been asking that the US should bring back the Kenofrata to come and replace those people. It can't happen because the leaders in the US care about their citizens. But in Ghana, our leaders are not care about us. I believe you that people who are supposed to bring Kenofrata back to Ghana have also taken some percentage. Because of that, they can't bring Kenofrata. And the bad issue is that, Roland, anytime that people observe that this country, there's always a force there. People even fear to come to that country to have business with us. You have to think, yes, you have to think about that one too. There's no country in this world that accepts these people. I'm telling you. So for me, I don't support them today and tomorrow. But these people are not correct people. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Which language was that?
I don't know. Okay. Anyway. Okay, so this one is coming from Mohammed. This one is coming from Mohammed. Mohammed says that, Roland, it will interest you to know that that in Tamale, the sports complex and the AstroTurf that is supposed to be constructed in Ganasco, as we saw in the 65th anniversary, that was graced by John Dramani Mahama, the president, and the First Lady Lordina Mahama, is ongoing well. And we, the old students of Ganasco, are really proud of the AstroTurf that is, and the sports complex that is being built. Okay, good morning. I know that the AstroTurf is being constructed by Wembley Sports Construction Company Limited, of course. Robert Coleman, good morning to you. He's the chief executive. But we have a couple of messages, and this one is coming from Mejina. Mejina has not been able to get through today, so he sent a long one, always very long. But he starts. Why is it that Ghana security agencies can successfully collaborate with international partners, including the United States, to arrest perpetrators involved in cybercrime, yet the same level of cooperation does not seem to exist when it comes to bringing Ken Ofori-Atta back to Ghana to face trial? This situation is very unfortunate and troubling to many Ghanaians. And then, okay. Thank you very much as well. Alhaji Kupsin says that Abutrika is going to the USA, but Ken Ofori-Atta cannot come to Ghana. Are we serious in this country? Haj Kupsin, good morning to you, Alhaji. Wishing you all the best for the day. And then Kwame J says that the whole situation is quite bizarre. We've seen a number of arrests, even to the point that my own person, SM for Life, had his car even seized. We need to make sure as a country we protect our own. It is not as if I'm condoning crime, but where is the case that these individuals spend their money in Ghana and then also contribute to the economy and its development? Why do we want to, okay, he puts it in quotes, chook our own? Chukes, right? And then Sherry Giovanni says, the effort of these local security agencies and the FBI is a good one. These fraudsters make it seem like hard work, perseverance, and diligence do not pay. Their actions make small boys in pre-tertiary institutions who are supposed to be in school to abandon school and claim that education is not important and that they are now fraud boys. We need more of these actions to serve as deterrents to young people and set good examples to the upcoming generation. And that's coming from Sherry Giovanni.
Let's go to another caller who joins us on the phone as well. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. Your name, where you're calling us from?
Okay, good morning to you and your cherished listeners. This is Francis Believe calling from Akojaman district at Impoku.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I want to share my thoughts on Abutrika issue. This cybercrime issue.
Yes, sir.
The issue is that
what our security agencies are doing is very, very wrong. To my perspective, to looking at my distance, it's very, very wrong. Why should they? Are we still under colonial? Are we still under our colonial masters? We've taken independence from 1957. So if we said we are not under our colonial masters again, then we shouldn't allow them to come all the way from their country and come and arrest somebody over here. We have competent court of jurisdictions in Ghana, which can settle those cases like that, this crime like this, Abutrika's issue like this. They can settle those cases here. I remember about 2 or 3 years ago when Calvin Taylor is in US there having issue with Honorable Kennedy Japan. I think they went there to settle the case there because they are having competent court of jurisdictions there. They went there to settle the case at the US there. Why wouldn't they bring their lawyers if they find any crime with somebody over here? Why wouldn't they bring their lawyers or whatever the company that they say they stole from? Why would they bring them here to come and settle the case here? Rather, come to arrest somebody over here, as if the country they own us over here. Yes, that is what we are trying to say. Because looking at it, it seems like we are still under the US or we are still under our foreign masters. That whatever thing they say, that is what we go about. Look at when we go to borrow money from this country, they will instruct us to use the money for this. That is what we must use the money for. So it sounds like it's looking at it, we are still under these people. If we said we are independent, it seems like we are still under these people. So our foreign masters or our country, our president must sit up to see to this that whenever they arrest somebody from this country, they must see to it that they do everything over here. They will imprison the person. They should imprison the person here. We have prisons here that they can imprison the person here.
Thank you.
Why should they allow the person? They should take the person all the way from here to their country.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. We have this one from Araba Seguamoni. Good morning to you.
Before you read Araba's message, though, he kept referring to U.S. as colonial masters. U.S. never colonized Ghana. It was rather the British.
I think he's talking generally.
Okay, generally.
We had a message like that.
Okay.
There's even one here that says that they undertook slave trade. So we too, it's not our time to be taken from there. I don't think that's fair, though. But I mean, so Araba Seguamoni, before we go to Rose Bank, they should sweep all of them out. Araba Seguamoni. They should sweep all of them out. They make the youth who are genuinely working for their money look like lazy people. They should take them all. Shadrach Abe, etc. He wakes
so happy
up
with this comment.
He's so happy. Araba Seguamoni, Mr. Chikata, good morning. Mr. Chikata, good morning to you as well and the family. And he says, I'll read this one again. I think this one, because it's getting a lot of feedback from the back room. So
he said the first step.
Araba Seguamoni says they should sweep all of them out. They make the youth who are genuinely working for their money look like lazy people. They should take them all. Araba Seguamoni. I mean, we have to talk about Rose Bank.
Yes, because, I mean, you remember that there's a world-class university, which is right here in Ghana, and that is Rose Bank International University, a strong South African university and a brand of the ADV Tech Group, Africa's largest private education provider with 146 schools across 5 African countries and over 100,000 learners, and partly owned by the World Bank through the IFC. Rosebank International University is fully accredited by the South African Qualifications Authority, the British Accreditation Council, GTEC in Ghana, City Guild UK and Capsicum Culinary Studio. At Rosebank International University, we offer a Doctor of Business Administration, MBA, Master of Science and Master of Philosophy in Digital Marketing, Bachelor of Supply Chain Management, targeting professionals in freight forwarding, customs, etc. We offer hospitality and culinary arts as well, available at diploma, undergraduate and postgraduate levels. Our ICT has BSc Information Technology in Business Systems and IT Computer Application Development, all carefully designed to equip you with the skills and qualifications needed for a successful global career. Our mission is simple: inspiring excellence. Admissions are now open for January 2026 Visit our modern campus at Airport Commercial or Perbia House, Accra, or apply online at www.riuc.edu.gh. Rosebank International University, building global citizens. And we do have via video call with us Mr. Richard Kumado, who is a fraud and security consultant. Good morning to you, Mr. Kumado. Thank you very much for joining us. Mr. Kumado, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Thank you. Thank you, Betty.
Wonderful. First, if you could share your thoughts with us really on the latest collaborative work between the security agencies of Ghana and that of US, getting rid, as it were, of a cyber security fraud suspect.
So that's a beautiful thing to do. Usually when you collaborate, you have all the best expertise at your disposal. And if you look at the recent one they did, you have about 9 different investigative agencies involved. You have the Cybersecurity Authority predominantly leading the charge. You have the BNI, you have YOCO, you have the CID block and the police in general. You have the Attorney General Department. You have the FBI. Then you have Interpol, and NACOP has also been dragging. So it gives them the leverage they needed to bring all the expertise on board to be able to crack this one. Because this particular arrest has a cascading effect, once you get this one done, it makes the other ones very simple for them. And I believe the questioning session and the interviewing session will also bring out some of the things they will need to do before Christmas.
I mean, moving forward, how would you expect them to work better? There are those, of course, international security agencies are expected to collaborate to ensure that they bring criminals to book. But there are those, like some of our callers, saying that perhaps we need to look at it in a different way. What do you think about it from where you stand?
Because why did you tell them that it was the U.S. government who made the extradition request? And it's not because Ghana wants to dump her people on the U.S. or some other countries, but this particular crime originally originated from the U.S. And most of the people who were due by the $8 million they are talking about, most of these monies came from the U.S. So it is the U.S. country or the U.S. government who has the welfare of her people, and they are going after all persons who dupe the U.S. citizens. And wherever they are, they look for them. So if you don't want to be extradited to the U.S. or to some other countries, don't get involved and don't dupe their citizens, because that is the way the U.S. government operates. But it's not because Ghana cannot protect her people and Ghana will want to dump her people on some other country. That is a miscommunication and misconception. So the U.S. made a request, and that is what it is. We have also heard some other people say that why is YOCO going after Ghanaians, and why is YOCO extraditing people to the U.S. when the former finance minister is in the U.S. and is not coming? And that's the highest level of ignorance and illiteracy in this country. As at the Friday or the Thursday when this arrest was made, nobody in Ghana has assigned any investigation leading to YOCO or the BNI or the Cybersecurity Authority, let alone asking them to lead in the extradition activity that will bring the former doctor to Ghana, or the former finance minister to Ghana. In any case, we have heard what the Deputy Attorney General said, that they were asking the OSP to bring the docket, and it's not bringing the docket. So to that again, people should go to the Attorney General and ask them, where is Ken Oforata? Or ask the OSP, and leave the other investigative agencies that are working so hard in making sure that criminal networks are being cracked down and suspects are being arrested for questioning.
Now, if there are these collaborations, then how intensely do they do these collaborations, and how long do they seem to be doing the monitoring before they do the swoops and do the arrest? Usually, but I'm talking about what the standard operating procedures are within your world of intelligence.
Basic knowledge is what you have just said. You brought the other side of the investigative methodology. Sometimes investigative agencies know that you are committing a crime, but they would allow you some space. Or sometimes they know the crime is on, but they would allow you to continue with the crime so that they do proper monitoring. it helps them that when they crack the whip, they get all the people they are looking for into the bracket, and they make sure they coil it and they cut it off. So sometimes, and in most times, and in many jurisdictions, including Ghana, investigative agencies do not just go after people for some specific crimes when they realize that the crime is being committed and it has been reported. With this particular case we are talking about, the latest one in focus, the extradition or the investigation, the collaborative investigation started as back as 2023. And what might have left for the longevity could be several things, but one of them could be the expertise of the investigators and the cooperation from the Ghana side. And I think the U.S. Embassy officers have enumerated this one so much, that once they were not getting the cooperation and certain people were not giving them the go-ahead, it becomes very difficult. But by and large, once you collaborate, you could stretch it over a year, 6 months, 3 months, 3 years, depending on what is at stake and the personalities in the crime circle and what is expected to be achieved as a result of the investigations and prosecution objectives. And so some of these things can happen. And I believe in this particular case, it started from 2023, and by December 2025, they went for the arrest. And that is why they had the successes they did.
Mr. Kumado, I heard you say that the U.S. government has been working hard to bring people who are defrauding its citizens to book, and then went further to add that if Ghanaians are concerned about what's happening with Ken Ofori-Atta, they should go ask the Attorney General and other departments that are supposed to be working on this. Does it indirectly mean that perhaps our side is not working as hard as we expected to ensure that Ken Ofori-Atta is brought to face the law?
You remember, it wasn't me saying it. You remember the Deputy Attorney General said publicly on TV that the OSP should give them the file or the docket or the investigation documents, and it wasn't sent. I don't know whether it was sent yesterday or it will be sent today, but Justice Sai, the Deputy Attorney General, the brilliant lawyer who is a doctor in criminology and has done many of these things for years, says that we are the only agency that can initiate extradition of bringing the former finance minister to Ghana. The OSP's office said, no, we are not going to give you the docket. If they give the docket to the Attorney General, fine. But the conception and the misconception and the deliberate attempt to rope in Yoko, the Cybersecurity Authority, the BNI, the CID bloc, the police, who have worked so hard on this particular case, that they are doing all this and yet the former finance minister is not back home, it's a misconception. And that is what I'm speaking about. If people really want to find out what is happening to the former finance minister and all Ghanaians who have committed crime in this country and has left the shores of Ghana, and they will want to be brought back to extradition, the procedure is simple, the processes are known. It is the Attorney General, and in this case, the Special Prosecutor. So people should go and ask the Special Prosecutor and ask the Attorney General questions in relation to that particular procedure and why it is delaying. And they should leave the investigation agencies to do their work.
So let me ask you this question really about what we're talking about, which is the crime fraud. How do you expect, beyond the collaboration, how do you expect the security agencies to work in such a way that people are discouraged from even embarking on such a journey in Ghana?
Definitely mistakes will be made on the side of the victims, but the victims also need redemption. And I think that when it comes to the cybersecurity arena, certain individuals can be both victims and perpetrators at the same time. Okay. But particularly the victims, you will need Dr. ABC, and Dr. Eric Belly from the Psychology Department of University of Ghana, and to help behind the scene in bringing healing to some of these people. If they are not healed, they go back into the crime. So that is done through sanitization and public education. The other one that will also help is prosecution. You prosecute them. And once you prosecute people, they will know that committing such a crime comes with high levels of ramifications and consequences. Then the third one is also to build capacity on the side of the investigative agencies. And one of the things we are doing is to have the bill of the Cyber Security Authority in Parliament, which has been amended, and also to put in what we call the. But then they also say that one of the things we must also do as quickly is to have the artificial intelligence bill passed, because artificial intelligence globally has become a major issue irrespective of the good things it brings and the benefits it brings to corporations, individuals, and nations. One of the difficulties we find with artificial intelligence is the voice distortion. Your voice could be dotted. Then the second one is imagery. Remember, even in BBC, as huge as BBC is, recently they came under fire when it comes to artificial intelligence and miscommunication when it involved the American president, and certain huge personalities at BBC has resigned. That tells me that as much as countries all over the world are formulating laws to guide the principles and to guide the formulations and the formation of artificial intelligence and the brilliant tools it can, we will need guidelines, we will need guardrails. Okay. And I will urge the Ministry of Communication to push that agenda, and let's get it done once and for all.
Okay, the last question I would want to ask you, if you monitor what the commentary has been, there is a certain conspiracy theory that the earlier perpetrators or so-called suspects who were arrested in this collaboration between our security agencies and the FBI seem to have spilled the beans on their compatriots back home who were or are involved in cybercrime. Usually, how is that done? How do you get the suspect to spill the beans? Is it to reduce the sentence, duration, etc.?
Definitely, you have said it all, and it's part of the public education. You remember one beautiful sister of ours in this country was arrested in the U.S., sentenced, and was released. And subsequently, some other people has been extradited to the U.S. And these are the known ones. There might be some other unknown ones that they do not want the general public to get known of. And so therefore, when people are arrested, during the questioning, the BNI will usually question you, and the police will interview you. The FBI will question you. And once they are questioning you, during those interview sessions and the questioning sessions, a lot of things come up. And they could have given certain information about certain people in this country, being in celebrities or ordinary people, who might be leading some of these cybersecurity or cybercrime hubs. And that might be urging the FBI, the Justice Department, and the CIA to come to Ghana and bring specific cases to the doorsteps of our security agencies. But Roland, remember, Yoko had a working partnership with the National Crime Agency of the UK. And the UK is predominantly work for the West.
Okay.
The Cybersecurity Authority, ever since Divine Selassie took over, has had several collaborations with international organizations. The Honorable Sam George is very much interested in this particular job they do. And all over the world, they are leading the charge in several areas, which means that they have a lot of influence and a lot of collaborative efforts at their disposal. And things could run very fast. And that is why Ghana has become a trusted place for the international organizations that they may come here. But people definitely will give information. People definitely will tell them what they have done, the collaborators and the conspirators, and they will show them the patterns and the methodology. And that is why it makes the work easier for them. So it is part of investigations, and it is part of what we do.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Richie Kumado. We have a couple of messages. This one is coming from Kenzie. Kenzie, good morning to you. Kenzie has an interesting message. He says that, and they've taken all our girls to by this time, this Christmas will be dry. And please kindly find out when FBI will be visiting some communities around. And then this one is coming from Andy. Andy, good morning to you. It says that, how can USA be our colonial masters? Ignorance is a crime. And Neo Dega Tukwekwe as well. Prince Nani York, watching us from the UK. Good morning to you. Prince Nani York also has, as well as Engineer Chum. Good morning to you. Wishing you all the best for the day. This one is coming from Issa Hamdu from Tema Community 1 Side 2. Says that the FBI can take all that they need from our country, Ghana, in terms of criminals, but they should also give us Ken Oforiatta to face justice. That's all. All right. So that'll be it for now.
Yeah, that'll be it for now. But TDC Ghana Limited, Ghana's premier real estate development company, is pleased to announce its official entry into the Volta region whole as part of activities leading to the unveiling of its major upcoming mixed-use development project in the Oxygen City. This landmark project, dubbed Whole Oxygen City TDC Development, will comprise a fully serviced plots, also modern apartments, elegant executive houses, a commercial and industrial area, as well as a world-class golf course designed to promote luxury business growth and sustainable living. TDC Ghana is also proud to announce that the official launch of this prestigious project will be performed by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the President of the Republic of Ghana, and it's happening this coming Wednesday, the 17th of December 2025 at 10 a.m. This development reaffirms TDC Ghana Limited commitment to delivering quality, innovative and sustainable communities for the people of Ghana. For inquiries, please contact 0303 202 731 or 0531 019 666. You're still here on Newday on TV3. When we come back, we'll bring you the big issue and some more. Do stay with us.
Well, thank you again for joining us. We hope that you had a great weekend. As always, we have cash out. It goes with the Shoko star 439 hash. You might recall that during the beginning of the show, we played wireless version of Silent Night. It means that Christmas is just some days away. So we're doing a countdown. Today is the 15th of December 2025. So we're just 10 days away. It also means that virtually once we enter this period, you have to cash out with us. It goes with a Shoko star 439 hash. As many times as you can, increase the number of tickets you have and become one of those lucky winners. We encourage you also to be part of us. So choose option 2, increase the number of tickets, become one of those lucky winners as always. I see a couple of you, and I would prompt our digital team, especially Benjamin Nunu. Benjamin, good morning to you. Please make sure you block those who tend to send scam messages. I'm talking about, so we have an account called Nanekia Breezy. Please block that number. Benjamin Nunu, digital team, media general, please make sure you block them as quickly as possible. They make it very difficult for our loyal viewers to be able to send messages in the course of the discussion. So block them, start monitoring, and be blocking those who tend to send messages on how you can buy internet data across streams. They tend to do that a lot. Please block them. All right, block them. Kwesi Mensah, you've joined us. Good morning to you. Prince Nania York, Schofield, Elizabeth, good morning to you, Alaji. And then also Neo Datemils Justice is watching us from Finland. Good morning to you. Kwesi Mensah is watching us from Albany, New York. Good morning. Kwekueron, good morning. As well as to all those who are in the new Tafo Government Hospital. That's where he tends to work. So please make sure. Anobi, Stephen, we're grateful. Please make sure you share the stream. Let's have some great conversation. And our conversation this morning is premised on what has been a refrain on discussion platforms over the last couple of weeks about the Bank of Ghana. And the word that has been used is that pumping 10 billion. Well, it started with 6 billion, then we got to 8, and subsequently, now they say $10 billion. They say they pump it into the economy. And that's the reason why the Ghana cedi is stabilizing against our major trading currencies, particularly the US dollar. But in the sphere of economics, is that really the case? Is it that the Bank of Ghana has $10 billion in its vault or in its reserve somewhere that is just pumping into the economy, and that is free money? And there was one colleague of ours who said that that 10 billion, they could have used it to build something or invest 4 billion of it. I mean, that's just so we want to really try to dissect the issue and then also get some level of education on the subject as well. When it's been done, it's called financial intermediation. And when that is done, what does it mean? Is that why the cedi is stable? If that's the sole reason, does it mean that if we don't have that helping to shore up the cedi, so to speak, then it means that we're tumbling? But is there money really available that is being used to do that? And so we're having the conversation. Eduji Tamakulu is joining us. Good morning, Eduji.
Good morning, and good morning to my distinguished co-panelists. Good morning.
And then lawyer Apia Dankwa is also here. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
Great.
Wish my co-panelists a good morning.
Great. And then Dr. Kweku Boahing is also joining us. Good morning to you, Kweku.
Good morning.
I hope you're well. I hope you had a great weekend.
It was great.
Where's Kenny Japan now? I there's a story on the Daily Guide. He says that when he comes, he's going to ban, importation of some foods into the country, 4.5 billion. And I know that he's a businessman. We have WTO rules as well. Yeah. We're not Nigeria on one hand, but of course, it's a good initiative. Yeah. And then I heard him also say he'll build a hotel on the sea. I don't know which of the shores is it.
Oh, he was actually thinking of the farm plane.
That's a voter.
No. The farm plane area was the first he proposed, and then when he met the people, Alejikuku, he also spoke about having how do you call it?
Hotel kind of a resort. Yeah.
No, it's in the sea.
All right, please.
They can always
please.
We have a
okay, Dr. Bernard Tutubuahin. Dr. Bernard Tutubuahin, thank you for joining us this morning. We hope that we'll have a very calm conversation. All right. And it's been done before. I mean, if you take the United Arab Emirates,
we can do it.
They were able to reclaim the sea. Singapore also did it. They are a city-state, an island as well, and they're able to do that. Are we go?
Oh yes, we are cool. Good morning, Senior
MG. Okay.
And so, yes, Commander, morning.
I'm greeting you.
The Ghana city.
Good morning to you.
The Ghana city. You take a look at how the city has fared against the US dollar. It's been very remarkable. Of course, when you are discussing with some businessmen, they tell you that the appreciation has been too steep. All right, so it's affected their revenue projections, etc. So that's on one hand, but then also it's been good for domestic consumers as well, because you know that largely we tend to import some items that we consume locally, even for the manufacturing or productive sector. That's what's undertaken. Now, we've had a cause to express some worry on some discussion platforms about this intermediation that is being undertaken by the Bank of Ghana. It's been construed to mean that government has deliberately pumped, now we're told the sum since the beginning of the year, $10 billion. And it looks like government is not too enthused about this sort of narrative. Why shouldn't we stick to our guns?
Okay, so once again, I want to say a very good morning to you, your cherished viewers. Before I even start, let me make this point. You know, ECOWAS heads of states are having their meeting in Abuja. And through the leadership that President Mahama has demonstrated so far, his colleagues, heads of states, have decided that in 2027, he will be the sole candidate that the bloc will be presenting for the AU.
Oh, is that so?
Yes. For the AU chairmanship. I don't remember the last time we've had that kind of position. And that basically brings to fore the leadership that President Mahama has shown so far. You know, I think it's important that we recognize the leader we have today, a leader we can trust. That said, something significant happened last week in Parliament. If you recall, the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo administration decided to move from the progressive free SHS to the mass free SHS that we've seen September 2017 to 2024. During the campaign, President Mahama made it a campaign promise to get dedicated funding for the program, because for the period that the program was implemented, the funding has always been ad hoc. There was no dedicated funding. Thankfully, the wisdom underpinning the Get Fund Act, which was passed in 2000, President Mahama has sponsored a bill, which bill has today amended the Get Fund Act to create dedicated funding for free SHS. And I think this is very significant. Always remember that education is the most veritable tool for social mobility. And that is exactly the generational thinking that President Mahama has decided to do. Provide dedicated funding for free SHS. So that tomorrow, our friends on the other side will not accuse him of review means cancellation. He has come to consolidate the free SHS. That said, I want to draw our attention to a constitutional provision. That's Article 183 of the 1992 Constitution. And it says, 1, the Bank of Ghana shall be the central bank of Ghana and shall be the only authority to issue the currency of Ghana. 2, the Bank of Ghana shall, mandatory, shall promote and maintain the stability of the currency of Ghana. So clearly from the Constitution, there's a constitutional imperative on the Bank of Ghana to, one, promote and maintain the stability of the currency of Ghana. And so, where you have a situation where the Bank of Ghana is unable to maintain the stability, it's an action maintainable even in our courts, that the bank has reneged on its constitutional responsibility. What it means is that it's a justiciable matter to be litigated even in court. That underscores the reason why, under President John Dramani Mahama, the Bank of Ghana today has taken an active role in the maintenance and the promotion of the stability of the currency of Ghana. How has the Bank of Ghana been able to do this over the past 1 year? We all know. And let me put on record, before President Mahama took over, I recall vividly my own brother, Miracle Abuaje, who happened to be the spokesperson for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia in the 2024 campaign, say that a vote for President John Mahama would mean that the Ghana currency will get to 34, in fact 25 to 34 Ghana cedi to $1. So that was the expectation of the Dr. Bawumia campaign, that voting for President Mahama, this is where the local currency would depreciate to. So when President Mahama took over, with the appointment of Governor Johnson Esiama, with the establishment of the Gold Board and the appointment of the Honorable Kesel Atoforsen, what these three individuals have basically done over the period is to do something that we've never done before. That is the establishment of the Gold Board. Remember that we have had Cocoa Board over the period. And sometimes in the middle of the year, what Cocoa Board does is to go for syndicated loan. By syndicating those loans, we are able to get about 1-point-something billion, 2-point-something billion into the economy to shore up our reserve. Today, the record and the target Bank of Ghana decided to set for itself is to get at least 4 months of import cover. My last check shows that today we are doing 4.8 months of import cover. That is how well we have grown our reserve. And by growth in our reserve, we are no longer reliant or dependent on the traditional foreign direct investment, the traditional cocoa syndicated loan, but now the work that Gold Board is doing. And what this Gold Board intervention has done is that in the past, PMMC and Co. were basically just doing gold trading. This time round, what government of Ghana is doing is that it is giving money to Gold Board in Ghana cedis. Gold Board now goes to buy the gold in Ghana cedis. Now this gold purchase in Ghana cedis is now sold outside the country. Now we get dollars. That dollar is brought back to the Bank of Ghana to shore up our reserve. So now what Bank of Ghana has done over the period is simple. We all know that if you and I here decides to do any transaction in dollars, we'll go to a forex bureau and buy dollars with our Ghana cedis. Now when we do that, depending on the availability of dollar in the market, the demand and supply will show how the movement will be. This time round, what is happening is that Bank of Ghana has now become all other commercial banks, the forex bureau of the commercial banks. And so basically what Bank of Ghana is now doing is that when you go out there and say, look, I want to bring $10 million worth of spare parts into the country, your bankers will need to get you that $10 million worth. What BOG is now doing is to provide what is called financial intermediation. that is more or less to operate as the commercial bank's forest bureau. And so then, when you need it, BOG now comes in. That is what they call pumping. It is not actual physical money that is put. What the BOG does is to basically say that, okay, you need this $10 million to bring your spare parts. I can give you that 10. So instead of going to quote unquote Abochi and the rest to look for it, BOG is standing in to say, I'll give you. Now, when BOG does that, BOG is actually doing trading. It is selling it to you. So you also buy it at a rate, and that is why the BOG would always advertise the rate out there. And so the impression should not be created that when it is said that Bank of Ghana has pumped $10 billion into the system, it doesn't mean Bank of Ghana, quote unquote, has wasted 10 billion cedis into the system. Because I have heard a very prominent journalist in the country make the point that why should we use $10 billion for the stability of the city when we can use $4 billion for what he calls big push? Please, I beg you.
Okay.
The opportunity you journalists you have with media platform is to inform and educate. Misinformation is not a very good thing to do. And so where the impression is created that BOG, by pumping $10 billion, means that BOG had wasted $10 billion to keep the city stable, that is not it at all.
This monetary policy decision by the Bank of Ghana has been a subject of extreme criticism, particularly from Kojo Nkrumah.
Yes.
As well as some other minority members of parliament and some economists who, of course, may be leaning towards the other side, but whatever it is, that whenever this action is taken, looking at other economies that have done it across the world, where there are external shocks, let's say your commodities don't do well, you don't have the right reserves, etc., then the economy tends to suffer. And then particularly when we're just coming from a situation where we had to go cap in hand, restructure our debts, and we're still even reeling that from that. The latest report, even coming from the US government, is that we're no more going to get the MCC again because of PDS deal, etc., and what transpired.
You see, I think let's draw the distinction. Like I said, there's a constitutional imperative on the BOG. What has always been the conversation is the source of building the reserve. We have always known that commodity vulnerabilities always exist because of how volatile commodity prices can be. If you recall, in the year 2014-2015, government of Ghana had gone to parliament to give an indication, having benchmarked the price of crude oil, that will be selling our crude at $85 per barrel. By reason of international geodynamics, what happened? It fell to almost 40. We lost almost $45 on every barrel. So commodity price instability exists. But if you look at the forecasting, gold prices in the next foreseeable 3-4 years will not come down, because today metals are providing a better form of investment than other forms of, options for investors. So investors are putting more of their money in minerals compared to others. What is significant is that when my brother Opon Nkrumah and co had the benefit of managing this economy for 8 years, what they rather did was to use Eurobond as a substitute for commodities. So they were using Eurobond as substitute for commodities. So what they were doing every year, starting from April 2017, was to deploy the use of Eurobond, frankly, templating 2.25 for the first year. And subsequently, every year by March, they'll go for an average $2 billion. So in the space of 6 years, they have done, if you add the Franklin templating bond, $13 billion of Eurobond. $13 billion. That is borrowed money. This one, we are not borrowing. It is our own gold. That is the innovation. That is the thinking outside the box that President John Dramani Mahama has introduced. You see, there's something in Akan, Abroni Beye. You know Abroni Beye and the way envy works, jealousy. My brothers in the MPP, when you talk to them, they'll tell you, not gold board ni yenya. If we had gotten the thinking, the mind, you would have done it.
What do they tell you? They tell you secretly.
Oh, yeah. When you meet them quietly. Now they are even forced to now admit the gold board in the You understand? Because you see, that is the innovation President Mahama has introduced to governance and finance. And so instead of going for Eurobond, you will notice that for a whole year, this government had not gone for even $1 Eurobond. But the city is stable. The reserves are going up. What it tells you is that at all times, innovative thinking. And that is why I've always maintained that the kind of leadership President Mahama is offering now, particularly in the management of the Ghanaian economy, have you noticed, and I'll conclude on this, that we have not, for almost a year, publicly announced the members of the economic management team. Have you noticed?
Who are they?
Have you noticed?
I've asked this question several times.
Exactly.
No government official.
But you see, the accounts will say, it's not what? It's not what? It's not noise. Yes, so, yes, empty barrels make the most noise.
Okay.
And so basically what has happened in 1 year is that we have not gone for Eurobond. What we have done is today, Gold Board does the purchases of gold in Ghana cities and sell this gold and get dollars outside and bring that dollars into the reserve to shore up the reserve. And so the performance of the city today, the relative stability of the city today, is the product of innovative thinking, thinking outside the box, with the introduction and establishment of the Gold Board. We have experimented cocoa board before, and we realized that if we do the same thing to gold, it will help. The closer the MPP came to anything close was Ejapa. Even that one, it was about securitizing the royalties from our gold resources. It is not anything close to that. And for me, that is the innovative thinking. And I think I should, the likes of Kwejo Nkrumah and co. should be applauding this government for such an intervention.
Well, he's in some fora, he's also been able to applaud Ato Forson for so far the stability within the economic indicator that so far has been seen. Of course, but he's criticizing this monetary policy decision by the Bank of Ghana.
No, because but you see,
he says that the argument he's making is that in the medium to long term, we could have some concerns being raised.
Commodity price vulnerability. In fact, if you read the IMF country report, the IMF Fish and others report, they make the point that commodity price vulnerability, you don't want to anchor an economy solely on that. There's some level of diversification. So it is not a straight case of gold, but the gold intervention is what has provided the upper layer. The more diversified, and if you recall, you remember many years ago, Nana Addo Dankwa campaign was to change the Georgesburg economy within 18 months, the level of transformation. 8 years had passed. The economy still has all the same structures. So please, I won't take that lesson from them.
But at the end of the day, what do you think, looking at the appreciation so far, 30% in excess of the cedi in relation to the US dollar, that seemed to have created maybe a certain buffer for the various subsectors of the economy? What do you think that is? The stability we've witnessed in relation to this monetary policy by the Bank of Ghana, which has come under extreme criticism from the opposition, so to speak.
Yeah, so let me wish you a lovely US good morning once again, and my co-panelists here and yourself, good morning. Honestly speaking, I don't know where the criticism is coming from. To be very honest with you, and whilst Edujo was speaking, when you were asking him questions, I wanted to ask you what Honorable Oponkroma would rather Bank of Ghana does. Because also when you go into our constitution, the directive principles of state policy, one of the underlying principles that governs our economic agenda is to create the right enabling environment where private sector will be the engine of growth. And we know that to create the right enabling environment, you need to take policies that will deal with the macro economy. So your currency must be stable, inflation must be not more than 10%, single digit. We understand, as in you must manage your debt war and all those. And so this government coming on the back of a criminally managed economy, coming on the back of a criminally managed economy where even though the president said that he was going to transform the economy, use his fiscal policy in a way that was reckless. How can you justify spending 400 million on a program that is meant to be a transformational program, 1D1F, and spend 5 billion on NAPCO? You get the picture. Now, a new government has come in, has met this economy that is practically in coma. Inflation was, at the time they came in, 23%. The CD was around 16 cities. We had been shut down from the capital market. Understand? And so the president met a very difficult. I don't think any president has met. Maybe unless I don't even think President Kufuor met such a situation. You understand? So then it meant that he needed to fall on all his creative forces. I think the Good Word was an excellent initiative. You understand? To bring a policy that would deal with the exchange rate, to bring a policy that would deal with inflation and not have to fall on borrowing. Because when you talk about reserves, there are ways in which you deal with your reserves. You can deal with your reserves through entering the capital market, and that's what we're doing. You understand? We go and then we float euro bonds to use to shore up our reserves. You understand? Under Kufuor, we did that through a lot of foreign direct investments. You understand? Unfortunately, because of the way the economy was managed, I think we were discussing the FDIs had reduced from about $2 billion to almost about $500 million. That is a situation where your cocoa also, because of how the economy once again was managed in Galamsey, the cocoa we expected had dropped from about 800,000 tons to under 500,000 tons. You understand? So to find a team that was so creative to create a board which enabled us to increase our reserves without increasing our liabilities. Because you see, when you increase your reserve through floating of euro bonds, you increase it, but you also increase your liabilities, and so you make yourself vulnerable. And we saw that when COVID came in, when because of our issues we didn't have access to the goodwill, how our currency tumbled from about 5 cedis to close to 17 cedis at some point. So I think what the government has done needs commendation, because in spite of they floating about 10 billion, the state of our reserves as of today, Eduji was saying 4.8 months. In raw terms, it's about 11.5 billion.
Almost 12 billion.
Yeah. And this is after government has floated, like they say, 10 billion. So government has pumped in 10 billion, whether through intermediation, whatever. But in spite of government floating 10 billion, we still have a reserve of 11.5, almost 12 billion, without necessarily increasing our liabilities. That should be applauded. That should be applauded. Now the question is, what do we do with that? Because what this has done is that it's created that macroeconomic stability. We have a very stable currency now. We have inflation, which is low. We have not increased our debt. You understand? What do we do with it? Now, government needs to leverage on this and then stay fidel to its programs. The big push also the 24-hour economy. They shouldn't listen to the naysayers, and all the other programs. That is meant then to deal with the structural issues that will cause transformation. Because already the gold board, if the economists are going to, is the advantage there is that it's a structural matter. When you talk about the gold board and how we are benefiting, then to leverage on that and then to transform our economy and to create a situation where they will deliberately create prosperity among Ghanaians. So listen, I know the nature of our politics is very competitive. And I know that sometimes people feel that it's in their personal interest to advance a communication that seems to discredit the government. But also, if the reason why we do politics is to create a strong state, if the reason why we do politics is to create a situation where the individual ambitions of the citizens can best be fulfilled, then where a government is putting in place policies that ultimately will inure to all of our benefit, then you do a country a great disservice if you undermine that policy by negative communication. You understand? So, like my brother Solomon keeps on saying, we need responsible opposition. Responsible opposition means that you do not oppose every single policy of government. Responsible opposition means that you yourself, you put your own credibility by opposing when it's necessary and by commending when government does well. And I think if there's a policy government has rolled out that needs commendation, then is the gold board. Now the issue is it sustainable? That's the question we've all been asking. Now, if you have a policy that increases reserves without adding on to your liabilities, then it's one of the most sustainable. It's one of the most sustainable because you are rolling out. And to another thing, what the gold board has done is that, because in the past we were exporting gold, but there was a lot of seepages in the system. People were smuggling it and all. Gold board, because of the way gold board is structured, has limited the extent of those smugglings to, it means that the foreigners that will come in won't just sip and get lost. So, Roland, the gold board and their structure, in my opinion, is very sustainable. Because it's a strategy that can increase our reserves without adding liabilities. And I think the question we should be asking of government is how they leverage on this to bring about real transformation and real prosperity, and that should be a target.
Now let's speak to Professor Bokping of the University of Ghana. He's an economics and as well as a finance professor as well. Good morning to you, Professor Bokping.
Merry Christmas. Good morning to the panelists in the studio, and good morning to our listeners.
Yeah. So we decided to discuss this subject because it's been a subject matter over the last couple of weeks, but this intermediation consistently that we've seen in the various quarters being deployed by the Bank of Ghana as part of its monetary policy implementation. What do you think are the pros and cons, really, just in simple terms?
Okay, thank you very much. I think the CD has a history. And the history is not one of all positive. Largely because the depreciation causes a lot of pressure in terms of price development, inflation, and then also so many other dislocations in the economy. In fact, if you examine the history of the CD, you realize that the introduction of the CD on 19th July 1965 actually ushered in inflation in Ghana. So since the introduction of the CD, Ghana has never known low inflation for long. I'm talking about low for long. We say in economics that low inflation is desirable in itself. You realize that in 1964, for instance, inflation was less than 1%. Actually, it was around 0.98%, 1964. Then we introduced the CD July 19, 1965. By the end of 1965, inflation had shot up to 26.4%. Since then, Ghana has never known low inflation for long. All right. It is not as though the cedi has been the problem. It's about how we have managed the economy, the fundamentals that tend to reflect poorly in the performance of the cedi. Again, more recently, if you look at from the third quarter of 2021, when we lost market access, and then with the run on the cedi essentially in 2022, where the cedi lost cumulatively more than 50% of its assigned value, you realize that together with many other developments in the economy, there was the need for the central bank actually to stabilize the cedi. In fact, one of the key reasons for going to the 17th IMF supported program, as we are counting it, even though the IMF on their website says that we have been there 18 times, the reason we went for the 17th IMF supported program was because of our depleted reserves, which causes excessive depreciation of the country because we didn't have reserves to support the cedi. In fact, Roland, it was the same paramount reason why during the Mahama administration between 2012 or 2013 and 2016, that caused the government to also go for the 16th IMF supported program that kicked in from April 3rd, 2015, with 1 year extension when the NPP came to power, and it expired somewhere April 2019. Simply because the reserves had gone down significantly. Now look at what the IMF supported program sought to do for us. The program sought to aggressively build reserves. So you realize that in the first 1.5 years of the recent IMF supported program, the drive was to build reserves. So by the time the NPP administration left office, they had built reserves in excess of 8 billion. In fact, they had exceeded the IMF's target in terms of the floor ceiling for our international reserves. So there was an aggressive accumulation of reserves. Now, when there was, with a change in government, you realize that the strategy changed slightly. I'm saying the strategy changed slightly because the rate of reserve accumulation slowed, which means that, and with increased inflows of FX, again, we can commend the gold board in terms of the crowding in of FX. But let's bear in mind that we asked for more than just crowding in of FX. We asked for responsible mining. Currently, that is not happening. And we should all be concerned because we cannot destroy our water bodies through irresponsible mining, all in the name of stabilizing the city. That is weak leadership. Let's bear that in mind. But of course, with the crowding in of the FX, because there's less smuggling now compared to what was happening before, Bank of Ghana has now access to increased reserves. Let's put it that way. But we are not aggressively building as much reserves like before. So what they have done now is to spill those reserves essentially onto the market. Okay, so as to stabilize the city. But in another sense, what we have done, Roland, is also not stabilization. What we have done is to prop up the value of the city. Okay, and that is different from stabilization. Because if in 10 months, 11 months, so to speak, your currency appreciates by more than 30%, you cannot call that one stability. You cannot call that one stability. So there is a certain intention to prop up the value of the city within the shortest possible time. And that is why you see massive injection of liquidity in the market. The $10 billion we are talking about here, yes, a part of it can be considered intervention. A part of it based on the new framework that the IMF has helped Ghana government or Bank of Ghana to develop. There is now a certain level of intermediation coming from the financial institutions rather than the central bank actually doing the intermediation or the intervention now. Because before, until recently, you realize that the intervention was heavily driven by the central bank. But right now, the foreign exchange from gold and other channels are terminating at the bank level, where the banks are the ones doing the intermediation. But there is excessive or there is stronger, stricter monitoring from the Bank of Ghana about operations of the bank in terms of they not accumulating reserves or how they are also doing the intermediation in order to sustain the value of the city. So the question is whether this is sustainable. One way of looking at it is to ask ourselves whether as a country, after 6 decades of independence or so, we want to continue on the path of irresponsible mining simply because we want to have a strong city. I think we should examine that part carefully because the negative effect of this irresponsible mining, and bear in mind, more than 60% of our gold export now, are coming from artisanal small-scale mining, right? And if you look at the data, the artisanal small-scale mining are incapable of doing responsible mining to the highest level. Okay, and that is why others believe that with the establishment of gold board, it more or less legitimizes irresponsible mining because they get their gold essentially from these artisanal small-scale miners that are incapable and are about doing responsible mining. So given that environmental distraction and all of that, I think we should be mindful how we celebrate it. We may be more short-term thinking in our approach rather than a more sustainable economic transformation.
Okay.
And bear in mind, anywhere in the world, any growth model that depends so much on the environmental distraction like this is not sustainable. So the question is, how do we move our growth model from it being excessively causing harm to the environment to more idea generation, value-added economy? That is what we should be doing. I'm hoping that with this platform that government has created, of course, supported strongly by the fiscal side because of the fiscal discipline that we are seeing, which we haven't seen in a while now. It has its own side effects in terms of the sacrifice coming from reduced growth. You can see the third quarter growth that was much smaller than the previous quarter and the previous year and all of that. But I'm hoping that the 2026 budget, once government is able to implement at least close to 80% of the budget proposals, we should be seeing how we can correct the side effect of the steep expenditure-based fiscal consolidation we are doing. We are not saying we disagree with the approach government has adopted. The only thing is that it's been very steep, and the side effect is what people would count, even though it has also given us stability that we can build on going forward.
Now, particularly when we know that our consumer markets and even the import bill is more tilted towards consumption, and then of course if it has to be with industry and manufacturing, we tend to use more of the raw materials from the import market destinations. Would you say that it's giving a certain respite to those subsectors of the economy, and so the plaudits then will have to go to government, the Bank of Ghana? But then how do we make sure that the downside we're able to mitigate?
Yes. So that's I spoke about the side effect. It's just like a doctor who is examining the patient and he says that, look, this medicine I'm going to give you will work very fast, but it has a higher side effect. So if you want to administer that same medicine, then you have to look at how you can also reduce the side effect with other drugs or something like that. So if you look at the 2026 budget, you will see that government is quite conscious about the side effect of the shock therapy and the fiscal recalibration they've done in 2025. So you will see that the 2026 budget is a bit expansionary if you look at it from expenditure increase. And then also, because the reduced expenditure they've done in 2025, the sacrifice was more on the part of CAPEX, spending in the area of infrastructure. You realize that in the 2026 budget, CAPEX expenditure or allocation increased to 57.5 billion Ghana cedis relative to the initial allocation in 2025 of around 34 billion, even though spending so far has been less than 10 billion and all of that. So they are scaling up from that perspective. But the question is that because of the approach government has adopted, if the revenue envelope does not respond appropriately to the revenue measures, then government will cut expenditure rather than going to the market to borrow. But our expectation also is that there is no way government can implement close to 80% of the proposals in the 2026 budget without considerable level of borrowing, that will put some upward pressure on the interest rate and all of that. So we expect some rebalancing going forward, especially from the second half of 2026. I'm saying from the second half of 2026 because the current IMF program is ending somewhere middle of next year. In fact, technically, it's ending this year. Technically, it's ending December 2025. But I'm expecting some 3 months technical extension or so to wrap up on some of the reforms and the targets, with the board probably concluding the whole arrangement somewhere July or so 2026. And however, the 2026 budget did not make any mention of what government intends to do post IMF program, and that is risky. So I'm expecting that either early next year or so, government would outline their own program post IMF program. Would they go for policy support instrument, or which one of them would they go for? We certainly need some level of
point made very much there for this. We're grateful for this morning, and that's where we have to go to you. What are your takeouts from what he also espoused? And I know that, for example, it's been a key concern among those who are giving feedback to the former government and then the party in itself in terms of how they manage the economy, the dollar cedi rates, and then its impact on imports, the trading community, etc. Dr. Edubai.
Good morning to my co-panelists, the two councils here, Eduji and then Dankwa and then Dr. Edubai. And then the other time in Champa. And then good morning to the good people of Amasaman, and then my connected fellows, those of us who are connected in ideology and in our thinking. Today, Honorable Kennedy Japan will be with the people of Engleshi, Amanfrom. He will go to Weja, then to Ablekuma North, and then Ablekuma Central, and then we'll end up at the duty.
So he's in Accra?
He's in Accra.
How long is he going to be in Accra?
I think we'll be done with Accra by tomorrow.
Okay.
And then he will move into the Ashanti region after. Tomorrow we'll be in my constituency, Amasaman.
You lobbied for him to be in your constituency?
He will be there to see and then to share with them the good message of hope for the new patriotic party. So he becomes the next flag bearer of the party. And now let's come to the main issue. This issue of $10 billion being injected into the economy. Yes, it is a good thing from government trying to manage the cedi, and then looking at people who need forex to do their tradings and all that. So they want to bring in money to help them and all that. Yes, it is good. But then the question is, if we look at the dynamic equilibrium here, the supply and demand of the dollar, and then we look at where do we actually pitch the cedi when it comes to the dollar? Can we say that we are going to pitch it on its own strength, the market strength of the cedi in this regard? Where I think some time back the president was talking about the actual value when it comes to this forex, that he thinks that we can be pitching it around 12 or thereabout.
He was speaking in relation to revenues.
Yes.
From commodities.
When you want to talk about the cedi to the dollar in this regard, the most important thing that we always want to be looking at is the imports and then the exports issues that surrounds the forex in this regard. Listen, yes, $10 billion will be brought into the economy, but this $10 billion that the Bank of Ghana has injected into the economy, mind you, people would use cedi to buy the dollar. And then when they do that, the question is, will the cedi stay here? And will the dollar stay here? in our economy? No. Because people would, the private sector would always find a way of getting cedi to go and buy the dollar. And when they have bought it, they want to use it for their own transactions and all that. So that's money in actual sense. If you look at the whole scenario, it is not Ghanaians mostly that needs this forex. Yeah? Let me be blunt with you.
What do you mean?
By 31st of December, a lot of companies will be coming out with their dividend structures and all that. A company like MTN last year, its dividend alone was $3 billion. Okay? From January to March, there will be repatriation of dividends. And then, if MTN alone will be repatriating about $3 billion, we are not talking of all the other.
We don't know that for a fact. They need to have the shareholders meeting, and then subsequently decisions are made at the shareholders meeting.
Yes, but I'm talking of last year alone, the amount of dividends that were repatriated by MTN. This year.
As an example.
Yeah, as an example. I'm not
What's
saying
your point with this? You're talking about the volumes that tend to demand it.
Yes. I'm talking about people who would demand this forex. And then in actual sense, what it means is that the private sector will tend to buy all these monies we're talking about. They will get the money. Okay? And then some of these amounts that will come in, yes, we as a country will be paying those we owe. So it looks more political to me in this regard than actually what we are looking at. Because if you look at before these
but how stable the cedi becomes, it's a political matter.
Yes, it is.
There's a reason why the last government didn't have a lot of support among voters. So don't you think that it's a political decision for you to stabilize the city?
It is a political decision.
Indeed, is it not true?
It is a political decision.
Prior to the 2023 Super Delegates Conference, Kenny Japan was somewhere in Kofodia and was saying that the city falling was something by his consideration should have make government stand up on its toes and then deal with it subsequently.
But he actually illustrated with a friend who imported dollars from Turkey.
Exactly.
And he himself lost money.
Yes.
Because he has companies that he uses US dollars to
import. Stores and
and now he has a steel company, right?
The reverse is what he's saying.
The reverse is what I'm talking about. Okay. What I'm saying is that instead of we looking at it from a perspective of sustaining this thing, within the next 6 months, this 10 billion that we are injecting would find its way out of the door. Okay?
But it will land in the pockets of the private individuals.
Exactly, that's what I'm talking about. That it will not.
No, so what exactly the point? Exactly. Would you have said government should not intermediate?
What is trying to explain?
No, so I want to understand the logic. I want to understand the logic.
Please,
what really is the logic?
Oh, please, can we allow him?
I just want to understand.
Yes, no, I'll get you to understand me.
Please go ahead.
You see, when you stabilize the city, stability is supposed to ensure that the imports become cheaper, okay? And then exports become expensive. In this regard, stability is supposed to actually make it that imports will be stabilized, okay? The things that we are importing into Ghana will not be things that we do not need. That is why Kenny Japan was talking about that, the fact that we will cut off almost about 4.5 billion commodities that are coming in that do not make the Ghanaian economy stronger. Okay, because if we are going to make farmers farm, and then these Nkukon policy that the government brought about,
import substitution.
You see, and then we are going to stabilize.
But you see, you can chew corn and still walk. So you can check on and say what. So Gold Board can be doing his work, do the foreign repatriation, and still do the diversification of the economy. You can run both interventions at the same time.
Allow Kukubai to talk. Please, gentlemen, please let's allow Kukubai. From Kennedy Japan's perspective, do you think that he likes the city the way it is?
From his perspective, he thinks that yes, the city is doing well. We can do more by cutting down on imports, okay, and then maximizing exports, which will bring in more dollars, bring us more forex, okay, to meet the demands of people that want it, okay, and then from all indications, listen, there is something that I want to say. It looks like our variables, the macroeconomic variables that we have always maintained in Ghana, has always looked at two of these things, that is the exchange rate and the inflation, which fundamentally, a lot of the times, that is what all governments over the years have tend to look at. But it is, for me, it is a wrong or a mistake that we are doing along the line. For me, I think that...
No. I think we need to interrogate it. Because I recall when Bamia organized the Central University lecture... in 2016, all of you coalesced around the views expressed by Dr. Bamia. And in one of the lecturers at Central University, he said, when in doubt, observe the exchange rate. You cannot now turn around and say... And in fact, he said, the most important single indicator of economic growth and stability is your forex and the exchange rate. What are you saying?
That is why I asked the question. Would it be that we prefer this?
Council, that is his position.
No, it's a position the MPP canvassed in 2016 for election.
Why are you trying to behave like a Dangote today?
Okay.
Listen. There are 12 economic indicators.
So your position is that us focusing on
forex, only forex, and then inflation,
the Ghana CD dollar rates, and then also inflation.
I would rather we measure our economic or success on unemployment or employment situation. Okay, there are 12 indicators. Out of the 12 indicators, a lot of the times you've only looked at the two, which is the inflation and an exchange rate. But then, listen, you would bear with me that within the next 10 years, if we are not careful and we don't look at the unemployment situation in the country, it will get to a point where the youth out there will start whipping us and chasing us.
You mean the political elite?
Because we may find ourselves sitting here today and talking about some of these issues. And then we'll be looking at the indicators only on these two things. But then can we look at all the 12 indicators and look at where we have a success rate?
But you do agree, if the cedi tumbles against the US dollar or the British pound, it's a big problem for us, for the economy.
Is it?
Because of the way we structure the economy.
Bro.
And then if we have to create jobs, it also means that we have to implement the right sort of policies to be able to make sure we reverse the trend. If
I mean, we are still talking about NAPCO people. People who brought NAPCO are job intervention.
Are you done now?
Let me conclude here.
No, he wants to conclude. Please allow him. Please conclude. Yes, sir.
You know, we are not looking at some aspects, apart from this unemployment situation I spoke about, the inherent value of the dollar to the city. If I have money today, people will be tended to buy dollar and hold them. Are you aware? Because we are
for what reason? In the short to medium term, for what reason?
Because if you look at when this announcement was made, the shake-up within the system small that happened. You see, before the announcement was made, the dollar was selling at interbank at 11.2, and then now it sells at 11.5, and then on the markets it was 12.2, and then now it's,
you mean with Abuchi?
12, with Abuchi it's 12.5. What it means is that even before when an announcement was not made, it was down. Now when it was made, it's going up. So the tendency of people buying or storing value in other things,
when it's stable,
they will store value so that tomorrow, because we don't know how stable the whole thing or sustainable this whole thing is going to be, within the next six months, maybe it goes up to 15. And then if people have stored value in money by purchasing and hiding somewhere,
but in 4 quarters it's been stable. If you're
I'm not speculating. Right. I'm not speculating. I'm telling you that it may get to 15.
What's your point? No, Edwin, let him talk.
You are not being fair.
Oh,
if you have hold on.
I'm being fair.
Roland, if you have a situation where BOGM Gold Board this year alone had repatriated forex. About $9.5 billion of forex repatriated into the country. And by December 2025, we are doing $10 billion. It is a sustainable model. Unless, of course, you are telling me that our gold is getting exhausted. Because the model has come to stay.
What if?
No.
So what's the point? The pricing of gold.
In
1 year,
what's your own perspective about this?
What if the pricing of gold drops?
Because
no,
it won't drop.
No, okay, gentlemen. Please put their mics off for me. Put their mics off for me. Now, Professor Bokpink has clearly said.
I listened to you.
Yeah, and he said this is good, but we have to look at the other side because there's always an opportunity cost for this. But he's talking more about the environmental effect of where we're getting the gold from to shore up the stability that we're witnessing. But overall, for the market, that's good.
Yeah, obviously. So as usual, good morning to all of us. And UTAG just returned from NEC meeting. And so I bring you greetings from National UTAG. UCC, I commend them for the kind of hosting that they put up. It was excellent. Greetings to the UCC branch, President Jerry, Professor Boabing, and their people. Edwin, you have so many greetings today from me.
Okay.
Samuel Segla, the UTAG National Secretary.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Grace you.
And after this, we'll have a conversation.
Sure. And I think 2 other guys, Dr. Omanie Jekum.
Yes.
Also
my regards. After this, we'll have a Utah conversation.
Sure. Now, you see, this conversation is good, and I'm happy that the Bank of Ghana boss has been honest, with his reportage. And I was even thinking that probably you could have, broken the figures into, when and how, or when these injections, were done, so that we know that maybe the first quarter.
But it's been reported over the period, I think.
Okay, then probably I've not followed. Okay, I think that is a good thing. But you see, listening to us, one question comes into my mind as to whether the investment, is a good one, or probably not. I listened to Professor Bokpink, and probably from his, analysis, he's suggesting more or less like it's a good measure, right? And you see, I side with him because when you look at the investment critically, obviously it is actually performing the purpose with which the government decided to put so much money into the forex. All right, stabilization is one of them, and for some time now we've seen the cedi stabilizing between 9 cedis and 12 cedis. All right. I think that as at this morning, the market value for the cedi to the dollar is 12 cedis. All right. And I think that in the Meet the Press series, the president said that the cedi will find its true value. You remember?
Yes, he did say that.
Yeah. And my question, in fact, since he said that, I've been trying to monitor how the cedi performs against the dollar and other trading currencies. And I've seen that at a point in time, you see 9 cedis, 10 cedis, then it gets to 12, then it comes back, probably because of the injections, And for me, when you inject to stabilize, what benefits are we getting as Ghanaians? All right. For me, you see, when you check the demand on the dollar in Ghana, especially when most of the big blue chip companies are multinationals, what do you expect? The repatriation of money, into their local economies overseas will be so much that it will put a lot of pressure on the dollar. I think that was what we were trying to explain, isn't it? So that is it.
Please go ahead.
So the next thing is that, again, when you look at Ghanaian traders, the amount of money, I even hear that the importation of rice, was more than $3 billion, right? Now, so it also put a lot of pressure on the dollar, all right, the demand for the dollar. Now, that means that if we don't derive any form of, investments to be able to, let's say, provide shock absorbers, for the dollar, the cedi, I will not be surprised that one day we wake up and the cedi will hit 50 cedis to $1. I wouldn't be surprised.
Not in the next foreseeable future.
No, I'm not saying now.
Yes.
Now,
For the avoidance of doubt,
I'm not saying now.
Issue that disclaimer. Yeah, Prof.
No, so what's your point with this?
No, my point with it is that looking at the demand on the dollar, all right, if we are not careful, whatever investment that we put in, will be something that will not probably help the economy for now. Now, what I foresee, is that what can Ghana do in real terms? Because obviously, 10 billion, within first year, all right, will not be sustainable for us. The question is, next year, how much money are we going to pump to support the dollar? All right. Okay. Now, so in the short term, yes, the capital injection seems, very necessary. But in the long term, what happens? Obviously, you see, if this intervention doesn't come, when fuel prices goes up, what happens to us? Or
you mean on the reverse?
Yes.
Or
yes.
On the downside?
Exactly.
Was it Friedman who said in the long term we may be dead? Was it Friedman?
So you see that the 10 billion injection is necessary. At least for now, when you go to the market, you see a reflection of the 6.3 inflation, right? Okay. Now, when you move to the flip side, in case the gold, I heard ABG trying to argue that for now, the prices of gold on the world market will continue to grow, all right? But you don't know, because it appears a bit volatile, right? And especially when we don't determine the price of gold and cocoa. And the prices of gold and cocoa on the world market is determined by a white man, all right? What it means is that when that person decides that today I'm not buying because I've built my reserves in gold, I've built my reserves in cocoa, what happens to us? Obviously, the differences between demand and supply and its effect on prices. All right. Then obviously it will drop. And when it drops, we are in trouble. And that is where the danger is. So to make our economy robust and in the long term, so that we can take care of some of these things and not throw our city, into that kind of ditch, we obviously must take long-term, decisions that will implement certain interventions that will ensure that, okay, this economy stays sound, robust, and in any other day, the city would perform against the dollar. All right. And so, obviously, when you check the narratives going around and when you read the literature and everything, a country that is so much entrenched in manufacturing and production. In fact, I've articulated this point time and over again on this platform. Okay. When COVID hit, China that started, okay, didn't suffer so much than, some of these African economies and developing economies whose economy is not entrenched on, manufacturing. Okay. So we must make sure that we invest more money, more than even the $10 billion. I mean, if you are gaining from cocoa and we are gaining from gold, we can set aside a certain amount of money that probably will go into manufacturing to ensure that, we increase the value of the manufacturing that we are doing, increase exports and all that, so that this country stays on what? A sound, economic footing. Okay. So to conclude and to make sure that,
to make sure.
To make sure that, we are all in one, line.
You've concluded.
Yes. I want to make this suggestion that, you see, Eduji is here, right? And I know that for him, anything that we say will be communicated to the president.
He's watching you from Abuja, so he's
okay.
taking notes.
Then, Mr. President, I think that let's create a fund, that would ensure that production in Ghana gets to that highest level. Number two, Mr. President, if you can, it will be very much important that we equally, some of these manufacturing firms, abroad, we can invite them to Ghana, and make sure that they equally, in fact, China started that model. And that is why we have brands like JTOR. JTOR is just like Volvo. It's a partnership between the Volvo company and the Chinese government. All right. We can invite some of them into this country, just as Toyota and the rest have come, so that they create more opportunities for our teeming Ghanaians, the youth, to get more employment.
Okay. And in the narrative of economics, you need to stabilize your currency against the currency in which the foreign direct investor will come and trade in the first place. Yes. So
I mean, you need to guarantee them that whatever investment will not be a waste. But maybe just on this.
2 minutes.
Just 2 minutes on this. I think it's important to make this point. Through the Gold Board intervention, right, in a year, Gold Board alone had repatriated into the economy over $9.5 billion. And by ending of December this year, they are projecting to do $10 billion. That's more than 3 years of cocoa syndicated loan. In fact, that is the entire Eurobond that was gotten like in 5 years of the NPP rule. And that is what we've gotten just in a year in terms of comparison. And so if you are looking at the innovative, critical thinking that had gone into it, I think we should have done this intervention much earlier. That said, you see today, like Doctor pointed out, the forex or the exchange rate thing is so critical and fundamental that one politician some years ago said, when the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate would expose you. It is true yesterday, it is true today. Oh, why? Why? It is true today. True today.
It's 100% true. No,
absolutely. And the point ought to be made. Today, if your exchange rate is relatively stable, the benefit immediately is reduction in prices of goods and services in the market. Because again, the vulnerability with our economy, the structural rigidities with our economy are still there. We have not fundamentally transformed the economy. At least it's a long-term ambition to do that. As we speak today, we have a situation where at least we know fellow citizens, countrymen, are benefiting from the relative stability in the economy. If it would have cost you, and I use this advisedly, if it had cost you in the past 17 Ghana cedis.
Your 2 minutes is up.
17 Ghana cedis to get 1 liter of petrol or petroleum product. If you are getting it today, say at 12 or 13, that is savings in your pocket more directly. Remember that there are 2 major indicators of pricing, the FOB pricing and the forex. So if the forex is relatively stable, the benefit is to all Ghanaians at all points, the economy and everything. And that is why today you can see the link between inflation, stability, interest rate, among others. Even the GDP of our economy and the public debt had gone up. Do you know that at a point, because of depreciation alone, it added over 10 billion Ghana cedis to our public debt? All these things are beginning to translate into better numbers. So I'm particularly encouraged with the intervention. But always remember that December is always the peak period because of inflows into the system.
And that is the most important thing.
And now Christmas, even with Christmas, look at the numbers we are doing. It has been excellent. It has been excellent.
The money into the system.
The money is in the system. So look at the budget.
2 minutes.
This is one of the most progressive budgets we have seen in a long time.
So I'll just reiterate my position.
Then talk about the fraud issues and then let's go.
So getting the stability is the foundation, but we ought to build on it. And we ought to build on this by diversifying our economy. And you see governments committed to that in the budget. We are talking about the oil palm and all. So it's all good, but we need to transform our economy, like Edwin is saying. Now, when it comes to the issue of the fraud, guys, we need a radical lifestyle audit.
But the way we are doing it is the way people say that
how
they are making money, pumping it into the economy, and then we are arresting them.
Foreign direct investment. You know my biggest headache. My biggest headache in all of this, Roland. It's the normal fraudsters. They are the local ones.
The way they insult you.
Yeah, and don't even insult you. Their arrogance is what that you want to defraud them.
The same principle from popular said. As much as we want to proper good world, we must do so without destroying our environment. The same way, we must build a strong economy without using dirty money as a way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So lifestyle audit
is critical. You know what has sustained the U.S. economy?
Lifestyle audit is critical.
Colombia trade.
Yeah. So Yoko and all those people, they should
focus on local momo fraudsters. And that's where my bigger
the way they insult you.
The fraudsters issue.
Just 2 minutes on this.
Yeah, I think we should look at a better implementation of the whole system.
They shouldn't be arrested?
They should be. If somebody has perpetrated fraud and then there's an investigation that shows and then proves that he's perpetrated fraud, why shouldn't he be arrested? I think I was watching a feed on YouTube or I think Facebook 2 days ago when this young man, Abutrika, was arrested, and then there in his room, the interrogation was being done. And then he was insisting that his lawyers must be there before he utters a word.
Was it an interrogation? Was being asked a question, what work he did? Or was doing?
It is still
or
considered
does.
interrogation.
Okay.
Okay. The line of duty. If you are.
So what's your point?
What I want to say is that.
I think next time they should avoid filming it.
Yes.
It's not a good thing.
It's not a good thing.
It can compromise procedural, due process.
Yeah. And then some of these things, if he says he's entitled to his lawyer, so if he says that, listen,
in fact, he has the right to remain silent. And it is a constitutionally protected right.
And then you insist that, listen, you have to tell me what work do you do, and I says, I need my lawyers here. It shouldn't be done. And then we should.
So their rights should be protected.
Yes, and
within
then
the provisions of the Constitution.
Some of these things we need to also strengthen the data protection laws of this country.
But we have one of the best in Africa.
We do, but listen, how can somebody like Council was just talking about it? You see, just a few minutes ago, somebody would just call me on my phone and say, "Do you belong to this WhatsApp platform?" We are having a meeting at this time of the day.
And I've sent you a code.
I've sent you a code. And you see, this is
and they don't have patience too. Let's have a conversation. So I can work on the code, and immediately you start insulting me.
You see,
how is that?
And then the next minute, if you don't do his bidding, see,
good lad.
And we need.
I retract this. It's just my experience with the Momo process. Sorry. I retract.
I mean,
we need to.
We can insult.
Provide.
The last week, I think one of them insulted me. The same insults that I retract. Please, I apologize.
We need to also do a regular training and capacity building programs for law enforcement agencies.
Yes,
and
maybe SOPs.
Yes, as well as so that judges and prosecutors and all that. We need to have skill training when it comes to some of these things for them, and then do intensive education and awareness creation on some of these cyber issues. You see, the foreign ones, Council said, I don't even think about them. It is the local ones that are even
you are worried about
worrying us. They will just take somebody's WhatsApp account, hack it, and then send me 1,000 CDs. I want to use it for this. I'll send it back to you tomorrow morning. And then all these things, you call the person on the phone and say, I don't even know anything about this.
Yeah.
You see, and then it's because our people are not well informed or educated on some of these things. That is why it's happening. And then when people call them, they think that, it is true that because I'm on this platform. So we need to intensify our education on some of these things.
Dr. Tubuahin, 1 minute.
Yeah. We've given everybody 2 minutes.
No, my time is up. It's 9 o'clock. I will close still if you want me to.
I mean, the whole idea about this Sakawa thing, is so bad. I have a colleague at University of Education, Winneba, Dr. Ni Bano, has written 2 articles, in recent times on, dark entrepreneurship and then online, dating scam. Obviously, these are the 2 things that are driving, some of these things. And I feel that, look, when it gets to this issue about fraud, online fraud, like colleagues have said, obviously the local one is becoming a problem. Okay, but again, the foreign ones is equally, denting the image of Ghana.
Romance scams and all that.
Yes, it is actually denting, the image of Ghana. And I think that we need to do something. I feel that some of these telecoms, must take up because it obviously exposes their security, and monitoring systems. And I feel that in as much as possible, the Minister for Communication, Yoko, the CID, Intelligence Office and all that, should partner with these telecoms and ensure that they put in, high level, monitoring systems and security, systems that, people who are otherwise, coming up with some of these frauds and all. Sometimes I find it a bit difficult to understand. How would how would these fraudsters at Insawam prisons get our numbers?
The local breed.
They are at Insawam prison.
Yes. No, you don't know.
The research shows that most of them operate from Insawam. Not necessarily Insawam, but the prison.
The prison, the Insawam prison. If I mean, the moment to mention Insawam, it is the prison that comes to mind.
I see.
You know, most of them are there, and they are being aided. They are being aided. You see, but see, on a more serious note,
they should have patience.
They should know and deal with some of these things. Now, what would the prison? You see, the funny thing, one of my colleagues, Dr. Amoakon, someone called him. So advance this money, so and so. It's okay. Don't worry. Give me your phone number. So this same phone number, blah 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 blah. It's okay. Don't worry. I'll send you the money in 5 minutes. If I don't send, call me back. Then after 5 minutes, the guy called back. Oh, master, I want for scanning my. Also, okay, what's the do? Kasa. Also 1,000 Ghana. No, it's okay, no problem. Me send the amount, but so my metias was saying, oh papa was saying, the person this can be count now the come out must you. But that's the prime minister. No say, some discount bar. Say the part 5 we could to fundaka never see you because with this scanner, we know money na be kwasa mando. So you pass your part.
Thank you, gentlemen. Your second is going where?
It's a Kwesi Kwarteng's birthday.
Kwesi Kwarteng?
Yes, Kwesi Kwarteng.
Lawyer Kwesi Kwarteng.
Kwesi Kwarteng's birthday.
Kwesi Kwarteng.
Kwesi can be a fire.
Kwesi Kwarteng, good morning to you and a happy birthday to you, Kwesi Kwarteng.
He is Kwesi Bieja Kwarteng, but arguably one of the top communicators in the MPP.
Yeah, he's with the Get Connected team, right?
Very deep.
Well, is he directly with Ken today?
I disagree with his politics, but he's a very sharp guy.
Energy.
Well, today we in English among from Botiana.
Very sharp.
All right.
It's
it's a birthday of a former MPP Central Regional Vice Chairman and then former Central Regional NADMO boss. That's Joe Donko. So Joe D, Uncle Joe. Joe D, happy birthday to you, Joe. You're 67 years today. I've known you for over 2 decades. Happy birthday to you. Also the birthday of Beatrice Ajimain, who is the Group Chief Executive for Media General. Happy birthday to you.
Madam.
Happy birthday to you,
Thank you
Beatrice
so much
Ajimain.
for giving us the platform to be doing
astute lady in all spheres. And congratulations to you, Beatrice Ajimain, the Group Chief Executive of Media General as well. And 50th anniversary celebration to you, Mrs. Tekpo Etonam Agbi, and it's coming from your niece Belinda and everybody else. All right.
TV3, we are expecting our Christmas gift.
Okay, so Christmas gift to all of you in advance.
Today happens to be CEO's birthday. You should remember that we create, we come here, we are waiting for our hampers.
So all those who sent messages, I'm sorry I'm not able to read, including Ebo Backman and the rest, but I should read it. It's quite a long one.
And Dr. Zato.
Now, if you want to look smart and fashionable, make sure you visit any Woodin boutique nationwide today, because Woodin is offering an amazing collection of authentic African fabrics all ready to wear, coming in beautiful designs and colors for men and women. And so with Woodin, you get to be creative and versatile with your designs. You also get to be confident and then get to show off how truly African you are in Woodin. So go to any Woodin boutique near you today. Choose from all that they have there. Follow them on social media, Woodin Fashion as always. Now, it's where we have to go for a break. When we come back, we'll bring you the latest sports headlines. Stay with us.